So hi, I'm James. I'm from the UK,
And I'm Gus. I'm from America.
and today we're reviewing XX, not mistaken by X or triple X, or just the double X, which is an anthology movie from 2017.
Yeah, this is a really fun one. Mainly, if I remember correctly, it's XX because it's all female led as the main characters.
And I believe that even two of these short stories are even directed by females.
Yeah, at least two or three.
Because I know, I'm pretty sure the first one's not.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. If it wasn't, I can't remember directed by, but at the very least, I know it was not written by. But I think it was the same writer and director for the first one.
Yeah, which we'll get my points on that one, which it's one of my favourites, but it's not my favourite in this. But yeah, so it starts off as like stop motion in like this sort of dollhouse setting, which is I quite like the idea, to be honest.
Yeah, it
Makes
was
it
really
feel,
kind of weird and creepy, but there was something about it that like I honestly I could almost watch a whole movie about what this creepy dollhouse is doing. Even though it was just nothing, it was weird enough to be fascinating.
and if you want to see the follow up to this, which is stop motion, which got released this year,
Oh yeah.
not even the anthology. But yeah, then it goes into our first short film, which was The Box. Now, this one I did like. I did like.
Yeah, I
But as I'm
enjoyed
saying,
this
it's
one.
not my favorite one out of these four, but I still liked it. So we've got it's on a train as our layout, and then obviously one of the kids like, "What's inside the box? What's inside the box?" Don't be rude. Don't be asking what's inside the box. Oh, it's okay. I'll show him what's inside the box. So he sees what's inside the box, but we don't know what's inside the box.
Yeah, and then it becomes a little strange and weird at this point as the son, for the most part, seems okay, except he just won't eat food. And it just keeps going to where day after day after day, he won't eat dinner, lunch, breakfast, nothing.
And obviously he takes the school packed lunch on the Tuesday. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, did you have the pizza? No, didn't eat. Goes to the Wednesday, and this is where like his dad has about him. You need to start eating, son. You need to start eating. And then it comes in like some sort of like argument between the parents. Oh, we need to take him to see the doctor. And it comes towards the Thursday. Doctor ends up saying you'll end up dying if you don't eat. If you don't eat, you'll die. I know. Like, as if like that's like for a kid to say, oh, I know. That's not the most normal behaviour. I'll try and
Mhm.
eat. No, I know. And then obviously it goes into that night. He starts playing around with his plate, like not actually playing around with his plate, but using the fork or spoon to go around the like pretend to go around the plate. And then obviously he doesn't eat. And then later that day, he obviously talks to his sister and obviously tells her what was inside the box. Even the next day, she decides she doesn't want to eat.
Yep. And now it just kind of keeps progressing where now the sister is taking on these same attributes after having some weird conversation with the brother, which we don't get to find out what that's about. And then a little bit later, the father confronts the son about what they were talking about. And the son finally tells the father. And then now the father's not eating either. And the one thing I guess I didn't understand in this is that at no point do they tell the mother. She's just completely left out of what's going on.
And then we end up like obviously she goes for a cigarette, and then cuts towards the next part where like you just see her head, and then just goes more closer, and then like the taking like meat off the bone, like as if she's like the chicken for the Christmas dinner.
Yeah, this, oh man, this one was, I loved the effects that they did with this.
Oh,
Like,
I
as you
did.
got to see the people become more and more sallow and just like not looking healthy. And then, of course, it eventually leads to the rest of her family passing on, and now she's here by herself.
And then then after she gets eaten, it goes towards Christmas Day.
Hmm.
Obviously, goes towards Christmas Day, and then obviously goes towards the boy having the box. Oh, what's inside the box? Opens it. We still don't find out, and it literally what happens, what's inside the box, and then obviously it goes into the fact where like both her husband and the two kids end up in the hospital, and then we just find out that each one of them dies. One dies in January and two die in February.
Hmm.
Then this one finishes on the train.
Yep, as she's trying to find that man because she so desperately wants to find what's in the box so that she can either fully understand what her family went to or went through, or to eventually join them.
Which I think what I would do is, even though this is like a short film, I should follow it up with like a proper a full length movie to do with the box, where she's continues tracking down this person at the strange box.
That could be interesting. I do also kind of like this one for its mystery. The fact
I
that you
do.
don't get an answer. You know, for me personally, I think this one actually was my favorite out of the four.
See, this was one of my favorites, and then obviously we go after this. It goes into a little bit of the stop motion again, back to the dollhouse, and it goes straight into birthday party.
Yeah, the birthday party was definitely interesting. Like, I don't know if I necessarily would have put it into this just because like it didn't really feel like horror per se, but I do understand, the concept of why it would be horrifying.
And this one is the one that stars in Rose from Two and a Half Men, which
Hmm.
I quite like the fact that they chose her to be inspired because it's still, in a way, the only thing that annoys me is it still feels like it's the same character, but with just a different name.
Well, yeah, because so this one was definitely an interesting concept because you have a mother who definitely feels a bit like kind of high society, kind of like a bit of the richer end, and her husband is always out and about, and now it's their daughter's birthday, and supposedly the house mistress or the maid or whatever she is says that the husband has come back home. The wife goes to look and ends up finding him dead as he
Yeah.
decided to take his own life. And now she is having to rush around trying to figure out how to take care of this because she doesn't want her daughter's birthday to be ruined, but at the same time it's just like, well, I can't leave the body here, and it's this horrible, just like I just the whole time I'm just going like, this is the worst idea ever. Like, you really should have just called an ambulance, called the police, whatever you needed to do, instead of trying to drag the body around the house to try to find the right hiding place.
So you know we start this off as a go. It's she's obviously wakes up in her bedroom. Then obviously the neighbor, friend, sister, whoever it is, probably the maid says, "Oh, have you seen so and so?" So, "Oh, he went for a walk this morning." Then she ends up walking into the room, goes ends up seeing his dead body. Then obviously it goes to the fact that like her daughter knocks on the door and is like, "It's my birthday," dressed up as like a giant fucking black eyeball or some sort of weird sort of outfit,
Yeah, I'm not sure what her original costume was.
like an eyeball or something. Like, probably like a penguin's eyeball. It was black with like a little pimple in the middle. Um, and obviously, oh, yep, we'll sort that out. Shuts the door, and then this is where she starts trying to move the body, moves into a certain room. Then the maid ends up coming towards it, so she drops it on the floor. Uh, she falls on top of it, comes towards the time, realizes it, drags it back inside, and then this is where it goes to the maid and the daughter. Obviously, my mom. Oh yeah, she's sorting stuff out, and then the neighbour comes towards. Oh, is that the present you got your daughter? Is that your present? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then she then she decides to try and hide it again, and she sees that the maid's coming more closer, so she hides it behind the door. Then her daughter comes, so she continues hiding it. Walk past, and then when she just about goes through, then she ends up on this knock and ends up being like the speaker started playing music, and then someone dressed up as a
They're
clown.
dressed up as a giant panda bear.
Be more ideal if it was a clown.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
he
but
dresses
then the
as
next
a giant
part of her
panda.
plan wouldn't have worked as well if it was just a clown. Because she does manage to offer this gentleman $1,000 and some medical marijuana to get
Yeah.
his costume so she can put the body into the costume, which I don't know what part of her plan this was. Like, this was definitely not a good idea. So then she drags him in the bear costume into the dining room and props him up at the head of the table
That's
as if
classic.
he's a stuffed animal, I guess.
Then obviously the kids are having the food, and then obviously his head drops onto the cake, lifts it back up, drops it again, and then they unreveal it, and then everyone else starts screaming while she's in like a world of her own.
Yep. Yep. Ah, man, from the very beginning, I was just like, if you had just told the maid what happened, and then you told her to take your daughter out somewhere for like half hour to an hour, get the police there, collect the body, notify them, I'll come down to the morgue, we'll get this taken care of in a bit, but I have to take care of the party first. Like, it potentially could have been taken care of.
It could have been, and then obviously you go, then that short film finishes, and then it goes back into stop motion, and then we're going to a third one, which is Don't Fall. Now, this, I have got to say, is probably my favourite segment in XX.
This was my second favorite, definitely.
This was definitely my first favourite. Even though that this has to be like the shortest one in this anthology movie. I think even when we were talking about All Hallows Eve, which you'll get to towards that special because it's a pre-recorded one.
Yeah.
Um, that one of the short movies that were on about that were in there was very short, and that ended up being not in our top.
Yeah.
But this is just the right length, as I feel, for a short film, 10 minutes. And what we've got here is obviously that in Arizona or somewhere it's pretty sunny and
Yeah.
sandy.
Yeah, some sort of desert, but also has like a lot of terrain to walk around and some like cliffs and stuff like that.
And obviously, be careful of the white scorpions. They'll kill you. I don't think white scorpions will kill you. And then obviously he goes on about the fact that the spiders crawl out of someone's stomach. Out of like when we were in 12th grade. Then she ends up getting someone decides to creep up towards her and make her scared, presumably a boyfriend or friend. This is the only
You know,
part that confuses me.
this one was a little confusing when it came to the relationships between everyone, just because like I think clearly there was a brother and sister, and then I think the one girl was dating the other girl,
Yeah,
maybe. but there was also the other guy who had a crush on that one girl, at least from what I could tell.
Yeah, that's the only thing that confused me. I was like, I couldn't work it out on the relationship. I was thinking, right, she's with him or she's with her. Da, 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 da. You can tell one of them was their brother, but you couldn't tell which ones, you know. And then obviously, oh, I could have died there. So she ends up going towards somewhere else, and then gets creeped out. Sees like this sort of home. I can't think of the proper term for it now, but before the hieroglyphics.
Oh yeah, the het heteroglyph? No, the guy says it in there too, and I can't remember what it. But yeah,
Home or
basically hieroglyphics were Egyptian, and what this was more based off of like caveman and stuff like that.
something. I can't think of the proper term now. But
Yeah.
oh right, okay, yeah, yeah. And then obviously she jumps. She's quite a very jumpy person in this. And
Hmm.
then it goes into like this the next scene, which ends up being a caravan, and they're just all sat talking. And he's like on about, oh, I'm so high. He decides to pretend that he's fallen. So then she turns around, and he just makes a jump, and then she says, oh, I'm not feeling too good. I'll go to bed. And everyone else saying, oh, don't be a pussy. Yeah, everyone else is staying here. And then it ends up going back to them being in bed, and you end up seeing a transition into some kind of like, well, start transitioning into some kind of like werewolf like creature. I don't know
I'm
if it's a
pretty
werewolf,
sure they were alluding to her becoming a Wendigo.
but there we go. We'll go with Wendigo. We'll do a Wendigo, not a werewolf kind of creature. A Wendigo. Um. So then she ends up starts ripping them apart, and then she ends up like a friend ends up falling, and then she ends up looking up, and then there's the Wendigo, which used to be her friend, ends up jumping down on top of her and starts ripping her apart. And then that ends up shutting towards the next stop motion, which I found very interesting. Look, it was like transitioning of an apple
Oh
getting
yeah.
getting darker and darker until you see the maggots crawling through.
Hmm.
And then we got a final one,
Her only living son.
which I probably would say is my least favorite in this one.
Um, yeah, yeah, I like it was interesting. I think you could kind of tell almost from the beginning what was happening though. Like at least pretty quickly into the story because you have this mother who had a child and they are apparently what she's explaining is they are trying to stay away from the birth father and trying to hide out. But supposedly the father was a Hollywood actor, and that's why they don't see him or anything like that. But her son, who is now becoming 18, is showing some signs of some weird
Yeah,
potential
weird after
changes. Yeah, like puberty, but to an awkward extreme, to to where things around him are kind of altering. He's becoming more violent and doing some creepy things like nailing a squirrel to a tree,
Hmm.
ripping a girl's fingernails out. Um, and then people around him as well, like the people at the school, the mailman.
I feel like it's normal.
Yeah, they act like, oh, well, he's just a growing boy. This is completely normal. Uh, and then as the story progresses even further, we find out like he's beginning to grow talons on his feet
Yeah.
and can make the sky darken. And then finally, the mother reveals that clearly his father is the devil. And he is, but I like the one thing I did enjoy about this is that they gave the concept that it's your choice.
Yeah.
Like you could become the spawn of hell and everything, or you can decide not to. and the mother kind of instills in him this strength to make that choice. And but what I didn't like is it seems so weird at the end there of like, well, did he take them both out? Did she somehow do it? You know?
Because they both end up dead,
Yeah,
which confused the. Because I was thinking, are they both killing each other? Is it,
yeah,
some, is it the power of what he's done? So then she dies with him. Like, I couldn't work it out. It's like even at the start where it's like, uh, she goes out with these two kids and she has a nightmare. And you're thinking this is how it starts off. You're not expecting it to go like 18 years later
yeah.
towards a child is obviously 18, and obviously we got in the part where it goes into school, as we find out, rips the girl's nails off, and then obviously her daughter ends up getting fucking suspended instead of him, which is like the
Yeah.
most pathetic thing I've ever known. And then you've got the mailman, then don't come in my room, and he's cleaning blood from the bathroom.
Hmm.
Then we're going to like the next night, oh, don't so and so, she's ended up being in his wardrobe. He ends up punching something. Then if we go more later on, then you kind of have like the postman saying that he's the biological father of the son. They won't be
Well, the
saying,
mailman isn't. Yeah, the mailman was saying basically like he's a follower of the real father.
so that's the part that confused me because the way I heard it in my head was like he was saying that he was the father of the child.
Oh, no, no, no. It's basically like, so the mailman, the principal and the teacher and whoever else is living in their community are members of a cult, essentially.
I know about that part, but I literally thought like the way how it was worded by the mailman was like, do you know like how they always say like, I don't know if it's like a growing thing for like in America, but like how we used to like saying like uh my mum's ran off with the milkman.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's sort of where I thought it was getting like my mum's ran off with the postman, so I took it as in like the postman was the father in like that aspect.
Oh, I gotcha.
So I thought it was like an inside. And obviously it goes into the part that we're on about. Oh, why I lie about dad? He's not in Hollywood, so I can at least see him. Then obviously we go into like where they both die, and then it goes back into the stop motion, and then it just finishes.
Yeah. Yeah, like that stop motion was very cool though. Like I said, I totally would watch a movie or even its own short that's just all about that dollhouse character.
I think that they should. I think there should be an XX2.
Absolutely.
Whether it will be like could be the continuation from these like the box. What's inside this box? It could continue on. Obviously, I know several of them wouldn't continue like the third and the last one.
Well, and the birthday. Like I feel like that one definitely you can't continue that one.
I mean, you could. She just ends up getting arrested.
But well, it does make it at least seem that she doesn't get arrested as they give the subtitles of what happens.
But overall, what we rate each, uh, and the overall, so each, no, it's got a.
Yeah. So why don't we start with rating the in between, the thing that happens throughout the film
Oh,
with the
we'll go with the stop motion. I think the stop motion is pretty high. I think out of all of the stop motions, I'd probably give it an 8.1, just because I think that's the thing that carries it through.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'll go for an 8, and I very much agree. There was just something about it. It didn't really like advance any of the story of the other stories, but there was something just creepy and fascinating that worked for it for some reason.
And then as we go on to the first one, the box. What would you go with what would you go for the box?
I think I would give the box a 7.5.
Pretty high. I'd go with a 7.
Yeah, for me, there was just something about the story and how it was told, and just how much it also kind of got under my own skin of just the idea of like, oh God, what if this happened to my family? Like what would I do? It's just I that's what I enjoyed about that one.
Yeah, so I'll give the box a 7. Then we're going to the birthday party. Ooh,
I'm gonna give the birthday a I think I'm gonna give it a 5.5. Um, I enjoyed it, but like I said, there was something about it that just didn't feel right in a horror
yeah.
anthology. Like I could totally see if they did a dark comedy anthology movie, but it just didn't fit for what I thought they were trying to do.
See, I went not far from where you went, but I've went a little bit higher. I've set this as a 6. So I feel like I get I get what you're saying. But I think it went with the theme. Even
Mhm.
though I'm not saying it was like horror, which is why I put the next one like a lot higher. But I think overall, like it had the suspense. So I think I'm gonna
Yeah,
give it like a bit more. It's like the box. Like obviously we don't know what's inside that box. So I'd go with like a 6 towards the birthday party, and then we're going to Don't Fall.
I'm gonna give Don't Fall a 6.5.
So this is where, because I said this is like I put this like higher. I'm gonna go with what you put as the first one as a 7.5.
Yeah, I totally get it. The reason for me why this one goes a little bit weaker is I didn't feel it like it, and it's probably just to do with how short it was, but I don't feel that the story was stronger than the box. Like, I wish there had been more about the paintings on the wall. I wish there had been more about the characters, or even potentially a better title. As weird as that, I know a title doesn't have much to do
Yeah,
with like a film, but Don't Fall didn't feel like it connected to the story as much as just, well, she fell at the end. Don't fall. Like, I don't know. There was something about that didn't feel right.
I think the font stood out as well it goes more, as we didn't say, like obviously we were talking about the scenery where it's like we're all walking up this giant sort of sandy desert thing, and then obviously it just
Mhm.
goes more further back and just comes up with like Don't Fall and like the Doctor Sleep sort of title card. It's like
Yeah.
red. I quite like it, but yeah,
Now
so I'll give it a
I will
7.5.
say though, this is the short that if I was to make a full length movie, this is the one I would choose.
Yeah,
Just because I think it could do great for a story, finding out more about the paintings, having the everyone trying to, like, you make it much longer of people trying to get away from the girl who's now transforming and everything. Like this one
I
I think
agree.
would do very well.
I agree. But again, the reason why I thought I might as well put this as a 7.5 because this is probably the only one that I feel like feels more of a horror out of the four.
Yeah, I mean, like I would agree with it being like a monster horror, but I think at the same time when you look at the box, like that one's almost on a level of like psychological horror.
Yeah. And then we're going to the last one. This is where man goes like as the lowest.
Yeah, I think for her only living son, I would give this one maybe maybe a 4.
I went with a 4.5. So as an overall, which is like the only thing left is like the overall. Of
So
this,
overall, I'm going to give this one a 7.5 for the whole thing.
I went with a 7.3. So
Hmm.
we're getting closer on these.
Yeah.
Shit, spoiled it.
Well, to people watching as we continue to go forward, it's going to be really funny because you'll watch how some of these ones, it's going to be like, oh yeah, James and Gus are really close to each other on that, and then there's going to be other ones where it's just like, wow, they're nowhere near agreement.
Like bad candy.
Oh yeah, that one's going to be interesting after the Christmas ones. That one's going
Yeah,
to be coming. So
yeah, that's going to be very interesting. And obviously, this is a Christmas special, but obviously, we're not going to. I don't think we'll put this down as episode 1, but we'll definitely put it down as like Christmas special. So like,
yeah.
so yeah, this. So yeah, this overall, I quite like this movie.
Oh, and for those of you who have not seen XX, the first story takes place during Christmas. So if you're wondering why we're kind of putting this into the Christmas season ones, that's why.
Yeah, because obviously with majority of these, like, why didn't you go with A Christmas Horror Story first? This doesn't sound like as if it's a Christmas movie. Well, it's technically it's not a Christmas anthology movie, but the first short horror movie in this anthology is based around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same with Holidays, which is getting released in a couple of weeks' time,
Yep.
and so in December, which is the one I'm
Yep.
looking
Only
forward
one
to
of
the
them
most.
takes place on Christmas for that one.
Yeah, which I'm looking forward to December because that's going to be like probably our longest one
Oh yeah.
so far. 24 short films in 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Whew.
we'll get that
Jeez.
towards. We're looking to probably talk about the old 24 in probably an hour.
Yeah.
So we'll end up cutting it short by at least uh 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be interesting. So yeah, that should be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So this week I'll definitely make sure to get caught up on the other two that I haven't seen so far, so
Yeah.
that we are ready for doing those.
Aye. 18th, which I don't know if I've clarified that at the start. I can't remember. I might have I might have cut that part down before I start recording. So yeah, this will be on the 18th of December, which is obviously a out of this the most fun part of this, right, is I'm interacting with people in the horror community, and obviously this day is a sad day for me. You you've obviously updated people with the TikTok because we're both on TikTok. But the 18th of December for me is the 4th anniversary of my dad's passing. So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so I might put like a little sort of um homage towards the end of this. So if people end up thinking, why is this? This is irrelevant. This is irrelevant to horror.
Tomorrow will be too late. Just one cornetto, give it to me.